So I'm going to review another book from Osho. You guys like the last one. This book is also a tremendous one. This one is about happiness, and it has some interesting ideas. And if you subscribe to any sort of Western ideology, whether it's Christianity or just the Western ideals, you're not really going to have ever heard these things. But I'm pretty sure they're really big in the East, and it's really interesting to evaluate these different perspectives because when you start thinking and expanding your mind and accepting new ideas, it allows your mind to just, figure out what's right for you and then start accepting the right things. And Osho starts the book by saying that every single child is born happy. Look at kids playing in the sandbox. Look at kids, literally doing anything. They look like they are so ecstatic. Like, when was the last time you looked that happy? Probably never. And it's like, there's something to be said about that childlike innocence. There's something to be said about the kid before he's instilled with all these values from school and his parents and religion and all of these other things, and like the rules that are made to make us members of society are the rules that make us unhappy. Like the kid, just playing around, messing around, he thinks there's nothing of it, but he might be too close to the road, he gets yelled at. Like there's all of these things that happen, and it's not necessarily out of we don't want people to be happy, but it's like we want to protect these kids, but these kids are they're just present, they're just existing. And if we could get to this childlike state, if we could start thinking like a child again, then we would never have a day where we were depressed. We would never have a day that anything crossed our mind except for pure joy. But it's been instilled in us that we have to have all these ideals, we have to have all these material things, we have to put ourselves in debt to chase a career and chase the responsibilities. And it's like, when have any of these things made you happy? Maybe they made you happy temporarily, but when were you filled with that childlike ecstasy? When were you filled with that childlike joy? And the answer is, it never happened. At least for me, it's never happened. It might have happened for you. You might be a complete anomaly. Again, I don't think you are, but please try to prove me wrong in the comments. Like, I genuinely don't think that any sort of materialism is anything that can just provide you like immense joy. Like maybe if you buy your mother a really nice car, a really nice house, like that might be something that provides you joy for a very long time, and you could always be proud of that moment, and you could always look at that moment and just smile. But aside from that, I can't think of one instance where, well, charity too, where material things would make you happy, or having vast amounts of wealth, or having a nice house or a nice car or a nice career, or living in a strict environment, having all these rules and having all these things you can and can't say, and having to conform for all these ideologies and all these people's sensibilities. Like, we need to just ditch this. We need to drop these things. We need to understand that our happiness is the only way we can make the world a better place. Like, for the entire world to be happy, we have to be happy first. Like, it's impossible for us to be happy if we're constantly trying to make others happy. Like, we need to become good with ourselves first before we can go out and help the world. And I feel like in the West, particularly, like the inverse is said. Like, you have to help your brother first. You have to, sacrifice to put your coat down so that the girl you're taking on the date, she can step on it. Like, all of these things, I feel like it's really taken the focus off of the self and put it onto the community. But when you take the focus off yourself, when you don't focus on making yourself happy first, you'll never be happy. So something I want you to start thinking about is like, what are the things I do for myself each day? Like, what are the things that give me that smile? What are the habits and the activities that bring me genuine joy? And it's like, what I want you to start thinking is like, take a 10-minute walk in the morning. Just walk around your neighborhood. Leave your phone inside. Don't bring your headphones. Just enjoy the world. Just enjoy the nature. Look at the beauty of everything. Look at how everything was created, and it's so perfect and it's so intricate, and everything just comes together, and it's all one ecosystem. It's just like, you can't look at these things and not be happy. Like, at the same time, if you're super stressed out, like, just take a little time to meditate. Take a little time to say, like, I'm here in this moment. I can only affect this moment. Like, I may have a meeting in 2 hours where I'm about to get yelled at, but until that meeting starts, I'm not going to think about it. Like, there's all of these things that we can start doing, but we've taken the focus off of happiness, and we're trying to delay it to the future. We're trying to say, in 40 years when I can retire, then I'll be happy. And then I have 10 years to spend with my wife and my kids and all of this. But it's like, half your life passed you by at this point. Half your life you sat in an office under fluorescent lights, and people were counting the amount of times you got up to take a piss. Like, it's truly frustrating that this is what we see as happiness, like delaying happiness to the later years of our life. Like, we should spend every single moment enjoying every single thing that we've been gifted. Like, you have an opportunity to live, and there's so many people in this world that have it off so much worse, and it's like we don't even appreciate the things we have. Like, I guarantee you there are people that are willing to just people will go to any ends to have the life I have, but there are moments where I'm depressed and I'm sad, and it's like, I should be ashamed of myself for holding these beliefs. I should be ashamed of myself that I don't live every single day gracious and happy and just smiling because I have the ability to live. And the last thing I want to leave you with is, like, true happiness is when you have no desires. True happiness is when you're content. True happiness is when you don't want the next thing, because it's impossible to be happy wanting more. It's impossible to be happy comparing yourself to others, comparing yourself to who you're going to be in 10 years. Like, one thing that I really, really wish I didn't do for the past, like, 2-3 years, I knew I was going to be successful. I knew eventually great things were going to come. You know, my channels would start blowing up. But I would always say, like, you know what? I'm living through this depression now, this sadness now, so that I'll be happy in 10 years. And it's like, why don't I just try to be happy now? Why don't I just try to, focus on the things that I do have now? Why am I comparing myself to the person in 10 years? Because the person I'm going to be in 10 years has a 10-year advantage on me. Why am I even going to look at these things? Because inherently, even if I look at it in a good way, somewhere deep in my subconscious, I'll be jealous of that person. And I'll say, I want it now. I want these things now. I know I'm going to have it in the future, but I want it. Like, we need to start focusing on the present. We need to start focusing on the things we have. We need to start accepting life for what it is and stop wanting more. And understand that there's a difference between need and desire. Needs are the things that you need to survive. Desires are the things that you want so that you can have status, so that people can look at you, so that you can get some short-term fulfillment. And basically, the overall purpose of this book is to really reevaluate the things that you think make you happy. Reevaluate your conception of happiness. Reevaluate every single belief that you hold about living a great life. And because of this, I love this book. I feel like it's given me a whole new outlook on life. I very much suggest reading it, especially if you're somebody who has never really dealt with any sort of Eastern philosophy. It's super easy. It's not complex. It's not something that you're gonna, like, be scratching your head at. Like, it's tremendous. I can't suggest it more. I'll leave a link to this book in the description. This is honestly a must read. I think if you read this book, it's gonna be really hard to be unhappy. So, with that said, thank you so much for making this far. I will catch you in the next one.